What is up, guys? It is time for the GameDay Huddle. Myself, Jimmy,
right.
Jay up.
We have every camera working today, too?
I know, right? I know.
I know.
When I was pressed for time earlier and I was setting up the studio for that other production that was in here, they fired up right away, of course.
Oh, of course.
Like it was perfect. Like it just came on. It was like I was like,
oh, look at the and they were like, man, you guys got an amazing setup. Everything works. It's great. You're like, come tomorrow morning. It's
just wait till half hour from now. But no, welcome to the GameDay Huddle. We are here to talk your sports weekend. Of course, we talk investments, we talk fantasy. A little bit of gambling. We've been talking a little bit of gambling lately.
It's not.
But the first thing I want to talk about is nothing about gambling. It actually has a lot to do with the shop, and that is our friends. I clicked the wrong thing. Our friends at Blue Breaks in Florida. They came out during Industry Summit, and he was here while his shop was being flooded. So we had a conversation. It was really nice. Got a good chance to meet him. He took a tour of the shop, came and hung out with us also at the summit. And we were working together with Burbank Sports Cards, Hit Parade, and a bunch of our other partners. And we were helping juice up their trade night. So we are sending care packages for trade night to Blue Breaks. And we've got people sending them from all over the United States. We have breakers, we have hobbyists, we have influencers that are all getting involved. So if you guys don't mind, you want to jump in, send us something over to Blue Breaks for the trade night. We had one breaker, which was really cool. It's the Phoenix Card Shop. He took his eBay sales last week and gave 20% of his eBay sales and sent the money to them to do whatever they'd like. And then Andy Friedman, who's a Topps artist, Andy is creating 2 custom one-of-ones that they will be able to auction off to put money back into their community to help. So he's in Venice, which is just outside of Fort Myers. That's who took on the most flooding. His shop had somewhere between 2 to 5 feet of water at some point. Whether that got in or was up against them, they saw water there as well. So his shop able to get back open and get going and everything.
When is that trade night?
So that is in November. It's November 12th. November 12th. So our package will be going out this week. We'll get our stuff sent out to them. But send stuff over. Let's have some fun. Kind of put some smiles back on the hobby. And, these are the things that when we have the power in the hobby to be able to do and to get behind. And, we have, and I say this in front of you, we have a great owner here. Jimmy's very giving, very willing to, get involved with different things. And then because of that, our partners follow along. So the people that we're involved with all become very giving and want to participate, which is why we got behind this. So we're excited to put that together, and I can't wait to see the photos and the video come from his trade night. Because I think that's the thing, is that seeing the people that attend and get a little bit of a reprieve. It's a tough time when you have a big natural disaster like that. Burbs is in the background, though, giving us his best Aaron Rodgers impression. I can't wait. We'll talk about that more.
I can't wait for that.
But World Series matchup, it is in place. And 2 of us in this room are pissed off. One of them is gloating for no reason because his team couldn't even sniff the playoffs.
It was out 4 months ago, so what else have I
You weren't out 4 months ago.
They're out.
No, I'm going to tell you something. When spring training started, your team was out. In spring training.
Okay, so I have nothing to cheer for. So I cheer for what I want to cheer for.
Phillies.
Our misery. He cheers for our misery is what he likes.
I don't, because I was cheering for the Padres to actually go, so I wasn't. I just don't like the Yankees, and you know that. I would have liked to see the Padres in.
It's hard being a Padres fan to say, we didn't win and whatever. I honestly thought we were playing a little far ahead of where we should have been, just based on some of the injuries, some of the issues we've had. We had some injuries in the pitching staff that you wouldn't really know about. Some of these guys were coming back. Their first outings coming back were in the playoffs, or they had only had one outing prior to the playoffs coming back.
I was worried about San Diego because they finally got over the hump of beating the Dodgers, and I know we always talk about the Dodgers collapse, but the Dodgers owned them in the regular season.
They did.
And not a lot of us gave them a shot to beat the Dodgers, so it was almost like that was their World Series, is beating the Dodgers.
They didn't play that way, though.
They didn't play that way, but it was
they
almost
fought
like
against the Phillies.
No, they did. I'm not saying they didn't fight. I'm just saying that it was like they finally got over that hump, and you just didn't know if it was going to be a letdown.
It's a different team if Fernando Tatis is in that lineup.
I agree.
If Tatis is in that lineup, I think we're seeing them in the World Series just because he brings a different dynamic to that lineup.
What I'm excited about is that We've now seen this. They know what kind of success they can have, and I don't think they're scared of the Dodgers anymore. And that right there, I think, is good for us. The matchup being the Phillies and the Astros, we all sat around at the beginning of the season. I know, Jimmy, you were very hopeful about the Yankees. You did make the statement, though. The Astros were the one team that you did not want to really be matching up with because coming in on paper, they didn't look nasty. But we all know what that farm system is, and that's exactly what happened this year, was that farm system reared its head, and those arms that they've developed, those position players that have come up through them, even bringing guys up to be role players throughout the season, all contributed. And we talked about the depth, and I think that's an important thing for most people to realize. The depth in their farm system and the ability to be able to move pieces that other teams don't have that ability to do. Yeah. That really, really showed itself.
That Astros team, they have 3 guys that are bona fide superstars.
Yeah.
If they're on any other ball club, they're getting huge publicity. They're getting huge name. Jordan Alvarez.
Unbelievable.
Alex Bregman, absolute stud. And then Jeremy Pena.
And you got a future Hall of Famer probably in Altuve.
And Altuve, which we're not even talking about because he didn't really do much in the playoffs.
He did nothing.
Yeah, he didn't do much in the playoffs. But with those 3, that 3-headed monster, they're all in their prime. They're all playing extremely well. Bregman was hitting the shit out of the ball.
Well, Bregman set a bunch of records, too, in the postseason. Like, he's absolutely annihilaed the postseason for the last 6 years.
Yeah, he hits.
He's incredible.
And that's the thing, too, is that they play and they hit in the playoffs. And on top of it, they play really good team baseball. Like, nobody there is super selfish.
No.
If they needed a fly ball, the guy went out and got him a fly ball.
Right.
Like, if they needed to move a guy over, they hit behind the runner. They were moving on the base paths. They did the things they were supposed to do.
And I think that a lot of that goes to Dusty Baker. He has so much respect, not just from his ball club, from all of baseball, because he's been around since, I think they were talking 68 was when he came up and played with Hank Aaron with the Milwaukee Braves. So, like, the guy's been in the game for 50-something years, for God's sakes. Like, he has so much respect from everybody, and guys listen to him. You know, he don't get the back talk. If he says, hey, go up here and hit a sacrifice or do this or do that, they all listen.
Do it.
Well, and you could tell that because there's going to be a standing image for a long time, especially if they win this World Series, of Aaron Boone waiting outside of the visitors' clubhouse yesterday for them to finish celebrating, and Dusty coming out with goggles on his head, coming out, and Aaron congratulating him on the win. Like, Aaron went to the visitors' clubhouse to do that. Yeah. Not a phone call, which is normally what it is. It's a phone call or something from office to office. No, he went over there because of the respect.
You think it's the last time that Boone's going to be in that stadium, and that's maybe why he did that?
Very well should be, because the way he coached his season, he should be on the way out.
There was a couple of iffy, like what is he doing type things, where if it would have worked, though, he would have looked like a genius, but it didn't work, so it makes him look like, what the hell is he doing?
Total opposite than what Dusty Baker gets.
Right.
He gets no respect.
Right.
The guys in the locker room don't look up to him. Nobody listens to him. He looks like he's lost out there in certain situations. You're like, what is he trying?
Well,
what he's trying to do.
I'm going to be honest with you. The Cortez continuing in the game and then gives up the home run. I'm sorry, if you're the manager, you know what happened. You visibly, if you know baseball, you know that his lower half, something happened in his lower half, and it was not going to be, even when he threw a couple of pitches to show them he was okay. Yeah. They were up and they were arm side. That usually tells you that there's some type of a leg issue.
And the mile per hour, it was 3 miles per hour difference.
Yeah.
From when he started the game to when the injury happened, and then so they send out the trainer, and any gamer, we're all gamers, we all play. Yeah. What are we going to say if somebody comes out there?
I'm going to stay in there.
No, I'm good. We're good. Let's play. Like, any gamer. However, 3 miles an hour difference is light years in Major League Baseball.
Yep.
And what happens? Walk, throws a meatball right down the middle to Jeremy Pena on a 3-1 count. What do you think he's sitting on there?
Exactly.
And he puts it 9,000 feet into the air.
A 3-1 count. You knew it was coming.
Let's talk about that for a moment. Let's take a look at that.
And he swings and lifts one in the air deep to left field. He'll watch it fly. Jeremy Pena. One swing of the bat, and the Astros tie it at 3. Pena's 3rd home run of the postseason. The wow factor is real with Jeremy Pena.
So
it's a hitter's count. You're
absolutely
sitting on your pitch. You're looking in. Yeah. He was probably looking in fastball. He's like, if that ball comes inside, I'm turning on it, and it's. And the kid's that kid's a superstar.
He is an absolute superstar, and we talked about how much of a superstar he was at the beginning of the season. We talked about how, for the hobby standpoint, he's going to be incredible. And him and Julio coming up in that American League is going to be a really cool thing because they're going to have a lot of battles against each other. There's going to be a lot of matchup opportunities with both of them.
Same division.
And both of them are, obviously they're bilingual. They're both Latin-friendly players, but they both still appeal very heavily to a standardized fan who just loves the game.
Charismatic, big kids that they're going to get a ton of people following behind these guys. They are the future. Him and Julio are the future of baseball. And then you look at Wander and you look at a couple other guys that are out there that it's exciting for baseball. We finally have some flair coming back to baseball. I think we went a good 5 to 7 years where when Bryce Harper and those guys came up and they were exciting and hot, and then we kind of hit a lull for baseball where everybody was like, now we're getting these young, enthusiastic kids that are coming back to baseball. It's a lot of fun for me. I think it's going to be fun to watch to see what happens with baseball. I'm all over Jeremy Pena. I will be looking at him in the offseason trying to pick up some stuff because I think the kids – for Carlos Correa, after the season happened last year and they were bringing it up during the game, he came out and said, hey, this is your team now. For a guy like that who's Hall of Famer, Carlos Correa is going to go into the Hall of Fame, to then tell this young kid who's playing in AAA ball, this is now your team, go get it, kid. Like, he's got big shoes to fill, and he did it. He's
100%. His thing is, he probably wins the Rookie of the Year if he doesn't get hurt. Mm-hmm. And his injury in the middle of the season wasn't as bad as the time they gave him. The reason they did that is they're a young guy. They're not going to mess with it. Right. They're going to let him be 100% healthy. And they're a farm system again that can move some parts around and suffice with what they're doing. And let's be fair, they got to play the Angels just like the Mariners did 13 times, and the A's. So you got 26 games in your season where matched up against those two teams. Yeah. Well, you can literally take days off.
You got to take the 4 starts from when Shohei pitches.
Yeah.
Those 4 starts that you're going to see him throughout the year. Because you'll probably lose those games because
he's that good.
He's that good. But you're going to win 85% of those other games.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, you can last a little bit longer when you have that type of matchups. Not like the NL Central, who even the Cubs wouldn't let teams take a day off. They still had veteran pitchers and guys that could get some innings or whatever.
Yeah, but what's Pena's cards at right now?
They're definitely not where they should be.
Right.
I can tell you though, his MVP in this, it jumped. So the big pieces started flying last night.
Right.
Probably around the 3rd inning, they started to go.
And if they win the World Series.
If they win the World Series, his stuff. So he's definitely – so Pena, and we'll talk about this today in plus or minus, okay. But we're going to talk a little bit more about this. But actually, it's the effect on the market that he's going to have right now, which is why Jimmy, being sharp, said, in the offseason, I'm going to look to buy – some of these. He didn't say I'm going and buying right now. He said I'm going to look to buy this stuff when it dust settles for him a little bit. But because of that, there's some opportunities. And then the thing that killed me, and I mean, we got to talk about this. And as hard as it is for me to see my Padres lose, to lose to the Phillies and 2 local boys, actually 3 local boys on that team, but 2 of them playing big roles, and one of them obviously is a monster, and that is Bryson Stott and, of course, Bryce Harper.
On the 7th pitch, Harper hits one in the air, left center field, back it goes! Harper, the swing of his
life! Now, I remember there being conversations about the best player in the world was Mike Trout, and these guys were both being compared, coming together, and Bryce hadn't quite put it together, and he had some injury things and stuff. I'm going to tell you now, he would have been the MVP. I think there's an argument he could be the NL MVP still, even though he was hurt for as long as he was.
He had a broken hand.
Right? Because Blake Snell broke his hand of the Padres.
Well, and before that, he has the shoulder that he has to get surgery on.
He
in the
couldn't even play.
He can't play outfield.
Right.
So they're only DHing him because he's got a torn rotator cuff in his freaking arm.
And he's hitting opposite field shots.
And he is
incredible.
He is, right now, I think it's safe for me to say, and I know that Aaron Judge had a really nice year. Bryce Harper is the best hitter in baseball. Right now, he is the best hitter in baseball. You can't throw it by him. He hits in pitchers' counts. And what he's done in this playoffs is honestly unreal. Something like 14 extra base hits or something like that in the playoffs. And clutch hits, go-aheads. I mean, all this stuff. And then it just elevates everyone around you. And you look at what Hoskins has done. Bohm is hitting. Like, all of these things. Like, I know the Phillies played really well without Harper being there. Harper was in the dugout, though. Mm-hmm. Right? These guys were they're rising to the occasion. I call them the blue-collar team. They absolutely are. They are grinders. And this series showed it. Every time they were down, they were never out.
That's such a big... In that situation, being down 3-2, I know it wasn't bottom of the... It was still bottom of the 8th.
Yeah.
You got a runner on first base. You have your MVP, your best hitter coming up. How many times in that situation does the guy come up there and strike out?
Yeah.
Hit a ground ball out of the inning. He arose to the challenge and put in an opposite field home run. It was incredible.
To mention the things we've been talking about on the NFL side, let's talk about some bad coaching and decisions. You talked about Aaron Boone. Padres had a lot of bad mistakes that were made in this series. And just as a fan, I see there's no way that Bryce Harper swings the bat there. He shouldn't even have saw a pitch. They should have just walked him. Or what all fans called for, Hader should have been in there. And, you know, the joke was, what are you saving him for the offseason? Like, Hader should have pitched against Harper if you're going to pitch to him. No one else on that team should have thrown in the 8th inning. Hader should have been in and pitched to him, or you should have walked Harper and let someone else beat you.
I think I saw that he's 1-17 against Hader.
Yeah, and Hader's lights out.
1-17.
Hader just went. Yeah, that decision not being made that's going to go down in infamy because that home run is going to ring for years, like it is. And hopefully the Padres get back to the playoffs and it gets erased quickly. Because if they don't, Bryce Harper is literally going to be put on a shirt as the GOAT, as the guy that is keeping them from being able to make the playoffs. But incredible season, and some Vegas kids getting there and doing it. I think it's pretty cool.
It's fun to watch.
NFL season, we've been going over and under, talking about the stuff that underwhelmed us from the NFL week. We're going to start off, speaking of GOAT, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. They mustered up 3 total points on Sunday. I went through a divorce this last year. I'm still going through a divorce. It is not easy. It is not fun. And what Tom's going through right now, and then to be asked to actually command the team, because the coaching's not commanding that offense. The coaching is not making good play calls. The coaching is not putting guys in the right spot. I understand you have injuries. Every NFL team has injuries. But for you to have the greatest of all time, and it doesn't matter if he doesn't have the arm strength he had last year. It doesn't matter if he's not as good as he was 2 years ago. The fact that he should have an opportunity to at least move the ball downfield. We watched a very, very bad arm talent, Peyton Manning, go out and win a Super Bowl with hardly any arm at all. It was able to still make plays based on how they called the offense. I don't know. What is going on here? Is it Brady's fault?
My question to Jay is, does he make it through the year without retiring?
Yes, he'll make it through the year because he's too proud.
Okay.
He'll make it through the year. And my comment to you guys on this is we talked about this at the beginning of the season, and yes, you and I have already gone back and said we were dead wrong on that Saints pick, that they were going to be good, right?
100%.
We know we were wrong. But people were saying it's the Bucs division, 100% the Bucs division, and I said wait before we crown them division champs, because I was still on the Saints at that time. I said their offensive line is shoddy. Yeah. And their defense isn't what it used to be last year. Their defense is playing okay. But when you're on the field for a majority of the game, there's not a whole hell of a lot you can do. You can't lose 21-3 to the Carolina Panthers.
They had subtractions
The Carolina Panthers that are basically saying to everybody, "We're tanking, guys. We're out. We're gonna fire our coach. We're gonna fire. We're gonna let Christian McCaffrey go for peanuts." And we're also going to shop around other guys on the field, and we're going to get rid of Robbie Anderson as well. So we're out of it.
We're going to get rid of our 2 best offensive talents. We're done.
And then
here you go.
And then they're going to beat the Tampa Bay. That can't happen.
And their backup quarterback, what did he throw? 300-something yards.
Who knows who PJ Washington is?
Walker.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Exactly.
100%.
Who knows who this guy is?
Right.
Washington's a basketball player.
Right. Yeah. But my point to that is that Mike Evans surely didn't help him in that game because he dropped a wide open pass. I don't know if you saw it or not, but Mike Evans was legit wide open and he dropped it. Brady dropped it right in his hands, and the defender had fallen down, and Evans just dropped it. It hit him in the hands, and he hit it up in the air, and it landed on the ground.
The thing is that you could say that one drop. I could say when I see multiple drops, like the Broncos receiving core, they drop the ball all the time. The Saints receiving core right now, dropping the ball all the time.
Does too. Okay.
Green Bay dropping the ball more often than not. These receivers, that's 1 or 2 times, you're going to have a guy's going to have a drops. Your best receivers in the world ever.
Not just that. I'm saying that's just a small portion of that.
Yeah.
But the recipe, like not many people have beaten Brady in his career, right? Not many. But the recipe to beating him has always been to pressure him, right? That's always been the recipe. And every team is doing that now. And he's being pressured on 22% as a whole.
Which is a lot, considering that you run almost half the time.
Everyone knows. So everyone in the league right now is licking their chops because they're like, we know we can beat him. Like Brady's down. He's a little bit older. He's not what he used to be. He's not garbage, but he's not what he used to be. So let's just pressure the shit out of him and see what happens. And if you have good defensive ends, you can do that. If you don't, then he's going to eat you up. But if you have a good defensive line, you have a couple of good defensive ends, you can do that. And so teams that do, take the other team. If he plays anybody that has a good defensive ends, you take the other team because you're going to win that game.
It's not good. Their defense losing some parts and stuff. We jokingly said who's going to win that division. The Falcons.
No,
Falcons are.
The Bucs are going to win the division.
Falcons are first in the division still, right?
They're going to get bounced.
It's an interesting.
They're going to win. They're going to win the division. They're going to have a bad record. They're going to get bounced right away.
So another quarterback that veteran and kind of on the end here, Aaron Rodgers did not have that great of a day. They didn't play very good. He hasn't been playing very good. But I wanted you guys to see this. Is this how he's preparing for games? This was literally the Wednesday practice before the game this week. He's playing around at practice, and I get that, but for a guy that wants to take things really seriously, he seems to not care. And my question to you guys on this, is Matt LaFleur on his way out?
If they have, I think they'll give him one more year. I think he's kind of earned maybe one more year. He's definitely in the hot seat starting right now.
He sure misses Devontae Adams. I know that for sure, right? When you have these young guys that are coming in here. But I don't know why, because Matt LaFleur's pretty good offensive mind. I don't know why he's not mixing it up more and playing more 2 running back sets, because the 2 guys you have on offense, besides Aaron Rodgers, that are studs, is A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. And both guys can catch. You can use one receiver. Why not run a lot of 2 running back sets so that you can keep the defense at least a little bit guessing of what's going on? And I don't need Aaron Rodgers to throw 50-yard bombs down the sideline, because he doesn't have Devontae Adams anymore. But why can't you just sit there and pick apart these teams? You have Tunyon, who's a tight end. You have guys that sometimes can catch the ball. Alan Lazard got hurt. We'll talk about that in a minute, but he's been their number 1 guy. But why not use 2 running back sets?
They need to pull a playbook out of the Cowboys or out of the Niners, because guess what? The Niners play 2 running backs. They do a good job of it. Cowboys are playing 2 running backs, doing a good job of it. Play good defense, run the ball, play action, set up your pass, win games 17-10. They're not doing it. They're terrible right now.
Yeah, Green Bay's defense is getting tired at the end of games, just like Tampa Bay's, and so they're playing well at the start. They've been in every game at the start, and then all of a sudden the second half comes. These guys are just gassed. Like, they're absolutely gassed because Rodgers can't move the ball downfield.
It sounds to me like from like how I'm hearing them talk, it's kind of like Aaron's like, this offense isn't working, and I want to run what I was running. And they're saying, no, we're standing up to you. And there's this standoff. And that's the thing that makes me think that LaFleur might actually get another year. Because Aaron Rodgers might actually call for his job.
Well, he's 2-4 ever since he had the ayahuasca. So
yeah,
and not only that,
and nipple rubbing.
Yeah, this is the first time this week you see who they're playing, right? Mm-hmm. Buffalo.
Oh God.
And Buffalo's favored by 10.5 points. It's the first time that Aaron Rodgers has been double-digit underdog in his entire career.
They're going to get boat raced by Buffalo.
Entire career.
Yeah.
First time. And now, hey, real fast, not to go back to that Tampa Bay game, but you're going to like this because you ref, right? Mm-hmm. And I know you've never refed in the NFL, but I thought you'd get a kick out of this. Did you see the video of the two referees that ran up the tunnel to go get Mike Evans' autograph after the game was over?
No, did they really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'll show you the video off air. I just saw it like maybe 20 minutes ago, but one guy's like a 20-year veteran and one guy's like a 4 or 5-year referee veteran. It was like a line judge and one of the other guys. But you see them, the whole video. They're running up the tunnel after the game was over. Evans is walking to the locker room. They're calling his name. He turns around, stops, signs autographs for both of them, hands the autograph. After a loss, after you just lost 21-3, two referees asking for autographs.
It's like So yes, I do referee. I've refereed a long time. I've been refereeing since '99. So what is that? 20.
It's a long time.
23 years.
23 years.
You're starting to show old.
Yes, I'm definitely old. I've officiated at some of the lowest levels of Pop Warner football, and I've officiated in the Pac-12 and wrestling events. Mm-hmm. So yes, I've seen it all. I don't even like taking pictures. I refereed fights this weekend. One of the kids, my brother coached, fought on the card. I did not ref his fight. I was supposed to ref his fight. What do? Hey, can you take this fight? My brother actually coached him. Okay, switch. Different referee comes in, refs the fight. I don't ref him. After the fight's over, he comes over. He's like, hey, can I get a picture, with you? Absolutely, sure, take a picture. We take a picture together. I ask him kindly as he's walking by, I say, hey, can you please not post that on social media? He's like, oh, absolutely not. It's just for my personal stuff. Cool. No problem.
Yeah.
But perception is 100% what you need out there.
Yeah.
You definitely don't want this look. It just shows you these guys are human. Mm-hmm. These guys are going to make mistakes. We've seen these controversies in officiating with guys cheating, betting.
Yeah.
We've seen it all. And I wish I could say that I've never done anything to spite somebody, but I have. You're human. The coach is on your ass the whole time talking shit, and there's a close call. You're like, screw this guy.
Yeah.
We're going the other way. They're human. It happens. Nowadays it's a little bit better because everything's kind of reviewable and there's video footage on everything. But yeah, it happens. Bad luck for the NFL. Bad luck for the officials. I guarantee we see tomorrow they both get suspended. You want to bet?
I don't want to bet. No, I thought that would be interesting.
I wanted to bet. That might be one I win.
That would be one
I don't ever win a damn bet against you. You should try to give me some money back.
I think they are going to get in trouble because I was just surprised it was a 20-year veteran and then like a 4 or 5-year veteran. It wasn't like a guy that just got brought up to.
Yeah.
So, and there is ways. So a lot of these officials, especially that make it to that level, are very rich anyways.
Yeah.
They all are lawyers and doctors and they all have big money and big practices and all this stuff. So they do these charities and they have guys sign for their charities and stuff. But that's all done in the locker room. You give a ball to a ball boy or you give it to a staffer and say, hey, can you go get Tom?
Usually the equipment guy.
Yes.
So not in the tunnel after a loss.
And you don't ever do it in your stripes.
He was in a stripe. They both were.
Never do that.
You don't get seen that.
Unbelievable.
That's horrible. Guys that can get it done, these two, Danny Dimes and Saquon Barkley, I mean,
don't you do
unbelievable on the ground. So you had 100 yards. You had 100 yards on Danny Dimes. Saquon looks fresh. He looks like, whatever they needed to do, that staff to get him healthy, they figured it out. They got it. The dude's a beast. But they're playing really good team football. And, we'll touch a little deeper into that. But my question is, who's the coach of the year at this point?
You have to give it to Debo. You have to. Because Nobody expected us to win more than 3 games.
No, what he's winning with is, I mean, Daniel Jones is doing what you guys have wanted him to do this whole time, which is just not make a bunch of mistakes.
Just don't throw interceptions.
Just keep us in the game.
Don't fumble. Yes.
Just keep us in the game. His main problem when he was a rookie in his first couple of years was that he fumbled a lot, right? He fumbled all the time. Just don't make mistakes. That's all we're asking to do. Now they finally have a healthy Saquon Barkley. They don't have any healthy receivers.
No, but
the whole receiving core is unhealthy.
Daniel Jones is making plays, though.
Right. But he's spreading the ball around.
He is.
He doesn't have a guy that's going to get you 150 yards receiving and 10 catches. He's spreading the ball around, which is what he's supposed to do. It's like Jimmy Garoppolo when he took the Niners to the Super Bowl. It's like that type of atmosphere.
We need it to be 3rd down and 3, 3rd down and 2, where we can pick it up with short passes, get the ball out quick, hit Saquon out of the backfield, hit our tight end and cross the middle. Like, he's playing the way he should be playing. Do I think we're better than this? No. Do I think we're playing above our pay grade? Yes, I do. Our defense is going to be good. We have probably the 2nd best defensive end, young defensive end in the game with Thibodeau.
He chased down Etienne in an open field.
The
chased him down.
We said this at the draft, though. The guy should have been the number 1 overall pick. I still stand by that.
I'm such a homer about it, but I absolutely said it.
We said it a bunch of times. He should have been the number 1 overall pick. He wasn't. And the dude's studying out, but it wasn't just him. It's like Evan Neal. It's their draft this year was a really good draft.
Yeah.
I think their defense is playing over their heads. Like, I thought their defense would be like middle of the road, but they're playing way above.
Well, they're playing with literally two starting defensive linemen that are rookies, 2 starting corners that are rookies, if I'm not mistaken, right? So literally half their defense is a rookie or a second-year starter.
Yes.
But we haven't played anybody that really throws the ball downfield and go.
I don't know if anybody.
We played hurt Dallas Cowboys team.
Yeah.
Dallas beat you guys, though.
Yes, but that's
Tennessee.
Really?
Yeah, that's your 1 loss. They're 5-1.
Oh, we're 5. Do you have that written down?
Oh, he's got it. He's absolutely got it.
Yeah, he picked up one game that we lost, and we had that game. We were dominating them the whole game.
Well,
we won't talk about that.
Talking about you were dominating Cooper Rush.
Talking about the defense. So here's at the end of the game. This is the throw. Now T-Law did everything he could to win this game, but the scheme on the defense here, when you see all those shirts on the goal line, and there's only 1 or 2 guys in the end zone at that point, to me that tells you that defensively they have a scheme in place and that those players have bought in, because that's an easy moment for a young player to go, oh, this guy's over there, let me be the hero and save that. And instead they all played where they're supposed to be. They make that 1-yard stand that ends the game. That's for this season, if they make the playoffs, that, and I think Thibodeau running down ETN probably are the things that need to stand out.
They're making the playoffs because everyone said how bad the NFC East was going to be, and the NFC East is going to have 3 teams in the playoffs.
Which is crazy.
It's going to be the Giants, the Eagles, and the Cowboys are all making the playoffs. Look at the other divisions. You see how down some of these teams are.
Yeah.
So 100%, those 3 teams, barring obviously some major catastrophe with injuries, those 3 teams are going to the playoffs. The Giants just seem to win it every week. They seem like they're down, and they just never give up, and they win these close games. And that's how you know the sign to me of a good team, with a little bit of luck on their side, is because those games are all going their way. It's like they get that last-second stop, or they get that last-minute field goal to go ahead by 3, and then they stop. Or they get that last touchdown that just put them ahead by 1. It's like all the things are falling their way. So
that's the thing. I like being the underdog in all these games. I think they were only favored in one of the.
But you're going to start
the
now
6 games.
So
now that's the problem, and especially we go into the stretch where we play Seattle, Detroit, Atlanta, and somebody else. So we have like 4 weeks in a row that we're playing teams that are way under 500. I think 2 of the teams have 1 win. Mm-hmm. So if we don't go out and dominate in those games,
usually by this time of the season, we're talking about the Knicks already.
Yeah, of course.
We're not. We're
absolutely.
Talking about New York
still talking about. Well, staying in New York, let's talk about the Jets. Jets did win. Now, Russ Wilson wasn't on the field, and let's be honest, Nathaniel Hackett's still coaching for the Broncos, so they're not winning any games anytime soon. But Breece Hall went out with an ACL injury. He is done for the season.
And he was playing so damn good.
He was the favorite for Rookie of the Year, and I don't even think it was a close second.
He even had a huge run for a touchdown yesterday.
60-yard run,
and then right after that. Done for the year.
It's too bad. Kid's got a bright future. This happens early in guys' careers. It's just like pitchers. Same thing. Pitchers get Tommy John early. Running backs have a tendency to do ACLs. It's just kind of the way it is. So look for him to bounce back. I don't think they were really going to be a contender this year, but they're formidable. They're a team that you at least
they're gritty.
Gonna look out for.
If the Patriots win tonight on Monday Night Football, all 4 teams have a winning record in that division.
Yeah, and they will until they play each other again.
Right.
And that's where it's going to be.
Well,
when they play each other again, then it's not going to be.
I'm curious to see what the Jets do now because their formula has been to run Breece Hall and Michael Carter both and not let Zach Wilson throw. Now Breece Hall goes down. You have Michael Carter still, but I think behind him is like Ty Johnson. So it's nothing that's star-studded. So do they let Zach Wilson throw a little more now, or? I
mean, the hobby hopes so. The hobby hopes so.
Right now he's 4-2, and they will not let him throw the ball.
He's great on social media. I hope he can be half as good with football. We need to see it. We'll see what happens. And staying in that division, Tua back on the field last night. Were you guys surprised at how Tua played last night? Did you expect it? Kind of what were your thoughts?
I was surprised that he said that he was going to take things a little more careful and not go for that extra yardage, and then 5 minutes into the game he did. That's what I was surprised about. It's almost like he forgot. Like he literally ran it right into a defender. He didn't even slide, and I was like, what the hell is this guy
Once
doing?
you take that snap, you're a football player, and that's what you are.
But that's what scares me about Tua, because he's a walking injury waiting to happen.
We talked about this with Lamar Jackson. At the end of last year, we talked about Lamar.
Avoid contact.
Yeah, Lamar wasn't. Lamar decided to avoid contact. Right. Some of these guys that have run have not tried to avoid contact. I thought, and again, the way the Dolphins played at the beginning of the game showed that they were prepared. And for a young coach like that to have that team prepared, he was getting rid of the ball quickly. And I think that probably has a lot to do with it. So last night the win I think is coaching related.
Even watch one play of the game. Who won?
You didn't miss anything. It was a boring game. 16-10.
Yeah.
It was 16-10 at halftime. Final score was 16-10. The only time it got exciting was at the very end. Kenny Pickett had 2 chances and he drove the ball the entire field both times and it ended up in picks near the red zone. But he was just boom, 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 picking them apart, and it's like, here we go. Like they're gonna take over and win the game 17-16, and then he'd throw a pick. And then Steelers defense stopped Miami. Pickett got a second chance, marched them down the field, threw a pick with less than
when he threw a pick, they were probably close to field goal range. I'd say they're close.
They were close,
right?
But they needed a touchdown because you had less than a couple minutes left in the game, so they needed a touchdown.
Yeah, and they needed the touchdown. So and he had 20 yards to run. They're wide open.
Yeah.
When he rolled out left, and he made that young decision of, I don't want to run the time off the clock. Throws the ball up in the front corner of the end zone, thinking it is, and just threw it right to another defender. It was a great pick, actually. It was a really.
It was because at first they said he was out of bounds.
Ngongbe, is that his?
Yeah. At first they ruled him out of bounds, and then they did a replay. And he was in bounds.
Yeah, so, overall, like, the Kenny Pickett thing, he's throwing interceptions. I think that's expected, and especially with that offensive line, because that offensive line's not good.
Yeah.
If you need to understand how bad the offensive line is, go look at what Najee Harris's numbers are this year, and I think you'll understand. That's not on Najee Harris. Najee Harris, when he has blocking, it's picking up like 7 or 8 yards a carry. It's something ridiculous. Just the fact that offensive line is just not good. The rest of the NFL, I don't want to talk about too much. I'll mention the Seahawks came into LA and beat my Chargers. The Chargers are like decimated in injuries, and I'm going to tell you, it's just a constant story for the last 2 or 3 years. They're always hurt. And even more, J.C. Jackson's now out for the season. Just more and more injuries. It's just constant. At some point, I think that's got to there's a coach on that staff, and probably the conditioning coach, that needs to be looked into.
Who's their medical staff? Like how do they all still have jobs?
That's what I'm saying. At this point, for it to be happening as often as it is, as much as it is, and it's the injuries that are happening. These injuries that are happening are stuff that guys, like, if they're just focused on taking care of these things.
I thought they should have had a good defense this year, and they're not playing well. And
They're not across the board. They're not playing well, and obviously, if they didn't have Herbert,
who picked
it
them?
would be.
Did you pick them in the AFC Championship?
No.
Buffalo.
Yes. So
because we all picked Buffalo.
Right now, it's not looking good there. And honestly, what Mahomes and the Chiefs are doing is just it's insane.
Hopefully that game's in Buffalo this year instead of Kansas City.
Oh, it will be.
I mean, as of right now, it will be.
Yeah.
Right? Unless, somehow the Chiefs roll off a bunch of wins and
I just don't see
you get
Buffalo
a bunch of losses from Buffalo, and I just don't see it.
That team's...
Yeah, Buffalo's really good. And then, you've got a dumpster fire, and it's the only other thing I can think of is to talk about how bad the Cardinals are. D-Hop being back was okay, and then, they did some things, but that team is not very good. I don't know what to say outside of that. There's some really good football, and there's some really bad football this year. And the two really good teams didn't play this week, know. So you had them with their bye weeks, the Eagles and the Bills. So you don't have much to talk about there. But we do have time to talk about some fantasy, and it is time for Jay's Fantasy Roundup, a portion of the program where Jay gives his advice for you on fantasy. And football's kind of coming to an end here. Baseball's been to an end, but what do you got, Jay?
Football's never coming to an end. Football's year-round. It's the only sport that's year-round.
I only say it's coming to an end because you saw my week.
Yeah,
my weekend fantasy. I thought you were going to take a shot to it.
Your week came to an end, but not for the rest of us.
How are you, really quick in fantasy, how are you out of it before the 1 o'clock games?
Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow happened to you. That's why. That's what happened. Let's talk injuries. First of all, let's mention one guy who's not injured but is officially benched. I don't know if you guys saw this or not before we went live. Frank Reich benched Matt Ryan, not for next week's game, for the season. He basically said that Sam Ellinger's our starting quarterback now. No. I agree, Matt Ryan's been very up and down. He's had some really good games and he's had some really bad games. But for him to get benched this early in the season, I was kind of shocked at that. But that's a big time shock. The rest of these injuries will just run real quick down. But there was a lot of fantasy relevance. Brees Hall we mentioned earlier. Mike Williams, he got injured late in your Chargers game. It's a high ankle sprain, so he's going to probably be missing at least 2-3 weeks there. Ryan Tannehill took a shot, came back into the game, but afterwards was seen walking around with a walking boot on. So he's questionable for next week. So we may even see Malik Willis get in the game and get a start. Chuba Hubbard. It was a two-man show taking over Christian McCaffrey. It was Dante Foreman and Hubbard. Hubbard goes out with an ankle injury. It could be Foreman's show now. DK Metcalf in that same game as Mike Williams. He hurt his patellar tendon. So he may miss a few games. They were worried it was going to be torn ACL also, but it's not. Amon-Ra. They put him in concussion protocol, which is the new protocol. If someone looks a little shaky or they look unstable, they pull him out of the game, which really, really screwed me in FanDuel because they come to find out he doesn't have a concussion. Everything's fine. But he sat the entire game against Dallas and didn't play after that. Alan Lazard ended up injuring his shoulder in the Green Bay game. David Njoku, tight end. He's been playing out of his mind this year in Cleveland. High ankle sprain for him. They're saying it's a 2 to 4 week ankle sprain that he may miss 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, I had him. He had 9 points and then nothing. And I'm like, wait, what happened? And I go and look, and he's injured. And I'm like,
Corey Davis also got injured, the guy you picked up. That's an MCL sprain. And then the Denver Broncos put Mike Boone on the IR. So in correlation with that, they signed Marlon Mack off the street. Interested to see how they do with that with Marlon Mack and obviously.
I mean, they have not been lucky at running back at all, the Broncos.
But Brett Rippon looked better than Russell Wilson's looked all year. Sadly to say, Brett Rippon comes in and gets a start for Denver, and he looks better than.
It's because instead of trying to be creative, they did the thing they should do, which is go ahead and hit those slants and the easy outs and the screens and all that stuff, and that's what they probably should be doing especially with the injuries they've had. And again, but their coach, let's talk about.
He's bad.
He's
so because of
epically bad.
Because of all those injuries, my waiver wire pickups for this week are number 1, absolutely Michael Carter if he's still available. I know he was drafted in some leagues, but he is available in some. If he's out there, go get him. Spend all your fab money on that guy. Dante Foreman, who I just mentioned a second ago, looks like it's going to be his show in Carolina until Hubbard comes back. Gus Edwards, a guy that literally missed a year and a half of football. They activated him right before the game. He ends up getting 2 touchdowns for Baltimore, and they had just put J.K. Dobbins on the IR there too, so he's going to get a lot of run. Wide receiver-wise, Paris Campbell looks like a legit threat, especially in PPR leagues. He's getting a lot of receptions. Mecole Hardman, Kansas City Chiefs. He had 3 touchdowns yesterday. 2 rushing and 1 receiving. So he's doing a lot of good things there in Kansas City.
Good.
And then a guy that you and I talked off the air about, Wan'Dale Robinson. Go get this guy. He looks legit like he could be the Giants' #1, like clear-cut wide receiver going forward. I like that kid quite a bit.
Yeah, I think I think he brings a dynamic because he's very like strong. So when he gets checked off the line a lot of times, he runs through the defender that checks him off the line.
The dude should be legit, yeah.
Yeah.
If you want any basketball advice, I'll throw out 2 names for you. They're actually both Boston Celtics, though.
Yeah.
Derek White and Grant Williams. Both those guys are owned in less than 50% of your leagues. Go out and get those guys right now if you can. Shooting guard, and then Grant Williams has got 2 small forward and power forward. He's eligible for both those.
So we got a couple. We'll be getting into more basketball as we get going here, as that season just got started. We are going to talk a little bit about stuff that got released, and then maybe some upcoming releases in the sports card world. This week, we had Certified Hobby came out. Now, Certified Hobby, when it came out last year, it was so expensive. This year it came out. It's incredibly affordable for people, and it's got great hits. The card set across the board. It's got nice color. The boxes seem fairly balanced, so people seem to be hitting in them more often than not. Really nice product, and as you can see here, here's a Kenny Pickett RPA from the product. We knew the prices were going to dip, Jimmy. We knew that prices were going to come down. Is this going to be kind of the standard? And if we see this with Certified, where is this going to put the 22 products and the stuff like the Prisms and some of the bigger product?
We're going to see it all across the board for this 22 class. Not a lot of guys are believers in the quarterbacks. However, it's going to be nice for the product. So if you are a believer in this quarterback class, you got Kenny Pickett, you got Malik Willis that's going to get a start. You have Zappy that's getting some play.
Ritter.
New England now. Ritter's probably going to get some play here soon if the Falcons lose a couple more games. So these guys that didn't look like they were going to be starting on any of the NFL teams, now it's starting to look like, oh, shoot, we might see them by week 10. A lot of these guys might be the starters because they need to see what they have in these guys. So we'll see the product jump up a little bit, but it's now more affordable than ever. You know, you get a box of Certified for around $250. Like, that's a good product. You have a good chance to hit something decent. You're not killing the bank going out and buying that product. So we'll see it on every single product from here on out for 2022. It'll come out a little bit lower, more affordable for people to get into. I'm all for that as long as guys are still able to get in and buy cards in the hobby.
To me, that's key too, especially with them coming out with reasonable prices, because the way it's kind of been going up and down lately, like you said, like if they would have come out at a high price, people would have been off of it. They would have just been like, I'm not spending $650 on a box of this. But the fact that they make it more affordable is going to drum up that interest again. I think it's a great move. And you get 2 autos, right? In the hobby box, you get 2 autos and 2 mem cards for $250. So it's like, to me, that's a very reasonable price.
Then you had some baseball product come out this week, and I think the one that was kind of like a surprise to people was the 3-2, which was basically Panini 1, but baseball style. So they came up with a 3-2, and incredible hits. Now it's not licensed again, but I think Baseball Fan in the last 6 to 8 months, I think it started to kind of wean away a little bit from it. Absolutely has to be licensed,
right?
Because the better looking products have been the products that have come out that aren't licensed.
That's the thing with Topps; they haven't released anything that's noteworthy lately, especially for eye appeal or eye candy. Topps Chrome came out and it was a huge bust because of what they did with the SSPs and just the autos.
And then it continued with the silver packs being such a hard to hit.
Yeah,
that guys,
because they had to make so much of it, so they put nothing but base in a lot of these silver packs. So guys are now getting the silver packs and like, great. You know, we've had a guy here open up 14 packs and literally has 0 cards that he kept. He threw them all away. 14 packs, threw them all away.
Yeah, so nothing.
Topps has dropped the ball. They now, Bowman Chrome is not going to get released until November 30th or 28th or something like that. End of the month, November, which is usually a September product. So it just shows you how far behind they are. We'll see what happens. I'm excited for the hobby. Prices are down. That means it's more affordable than ever to buy if you're an actual true collector. If you're just a flipper, then
Yeah.
Probably right now is not a good time for you to be buying into product if you're just trying to buy and try to make money on stuff, unless you're buying singles. But if you're an actual hobbyist and enthusiast and collector, this has to be fun for you. Because for the last 5 years or 4 years, we've seen nothing but elevated prices on all these boxes.
Like crazy, yeah.
And the only way to get into these products were through these breaks or through different, hit drafts or this and that. Now we actually can buy a box and get back to ripping it.
And guys forget that, like, when you have a product like Certified, for example, they've got veteran autos in there. So your Josh Allens, your Herberts, your guys that you want autos from too are in there at that price point that generally hold a premium. So whereas some of the rookie autos might not hold as high of a premium, those veteran autos still will. So it's a nice place to be able to do that. And they've loaded some of the boxes. I know some of the stuff I opened, 3 autos. Nasty memes, they've done a nice job with it. More stuff coming out. What we have, is it Black?
Panini Black comes out this week. We have Select Draft Picks Football, which is, it's the college version of Select, which is always fun because you still get your snake skins and zebras and all this stuff. And the price point on it is less. I think it's $320 a box. You're going to get 2 autographs and 1 mem and Select. So once again, price point's perfect. Go out and buy the boxes.
So a good time to be buying some product. And we'll get you more sports card stuff, more stuff for the hobby over the next few weeks here on the GameDay Huddle. Basketball season's off and kicking. They had the ring ceremony. Steph Curry's ring.
Oh, really?
It's unbelievable. It opens up, shows 4 trophies. Well thought out. I just thought that was really cool.
It is.
You had the Lakers come out, and the statement was made by Anthony Davis. He said that ruining a ring night is the thing to do. And then they got ruined on ring night because Golden State looked every bit of what they should. And they had Wiseman on the court. And they had, Poole being more involved in the offense. And, all the talk. In fact, all the talk we've been leading up, they did a whole promo leading up to that game, following Draymond and the whole punch Jordan Poole and all that stuff, everything. They had Adam Silver on before that game. Talking to him about all the negativity and all this stuff and everything. And then here come the Golden State Warriors, business as usual, like nothing ever happened.
The Lakers are a hot mess right now.
They are.
I mean, that Russell Westbrook was definitely not the answer. It's bad. And it ain't going to get any better. They're not just going to flip a switch and just all of a sudden become a playoff team. It's
what I don't get is from game to game, you have them saying things like, oh, well, Russ is going to come off the bench. Then Russ is going to do this. Like, each game it's something different already. That's a new coach.
He's not
that's
even in the huddle sometimes. Like, you see the whole team huddle before a game, and they're doing the pregame, and he's just, like, off on the side, like, by himself. It's like, they're doomed. They're doomed.
They are. And, we'll set it up, but basically there was time left on the clock. It was roughly 30 seconds.
30 seconds and 18 seconds on the shot clock.
On the shot clock. Russ just pulls up out of nowhere.
And they're up by 1.
Throws up a random shot.
Bricks.
It doesn't get made. In that game, might I mention, too, that they were winging the ball. The Lakers were winging the ball out to Anthony Davis at 3. Mm-hmm. And Nurkic was turning his back to him and walking towards the rim for the rebound rather than defending him.
That's the one that hit the side of the glass.
Yeah. Because he from the wing, he can't shoot the 3. But the Lakers are doing that, and they're putting him into that spot. The offense is not running well. LeBron's being LeBron and still scoring, 20-plus a night, because that's what LeBron does. But the rest of it...
Also, I saw on the news, they said that he doesn't have an assist yet.
Oh, I don't know. That's crazy. I wouldn't be surprised, though, because of how they're running that offense and where they're winging the ball. So then you have Portland. Portland's playing defense like that. Portland's getting these big bounce back. They were up, I think, 14 with 4 minutes or 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Lakers were. And then went on this horrendous shooting spree. The Blazers come back in it. And then you had Dame Dime basically just takes over the moment, takes over the game, and just immediately ruined any thought that the Lakers thought they had when they were up by 1 after that play from Westbrook.
It was Simons who won the game against Phoenix. He rises and fires and scores! Damian
Once,
yeah, that's what he's saying.
Once he hits that and he's up by 2, now all of a sudden this is unbelievable. Like, you don't have a team. You can't have the Blazers showing you up like that. And then after this, they benched Russell Westbrook. So now Russ is benched at the end of the game. And now the talks are maybe he's going to be coming off the bench already. I mean, you're 3 games in.
The team's a dumpster fire. This is the last time we talk about the Lakers because they're a dumpster fire.
It's bad this year.
Nobody gives a shit about that team anymore.
And he does have assists, by the way. I don't know where I read that he had an assist. Maybe it was the first game, but he has assists this game.
They are, however, talking about the Clippers, which is weird because Kawhi's been doing things like not starting and coming in with the second team to balance his load and all these crazy things going on. And then meanwhile in the East, I mean, you've got Boston doing Boston things and the East is kind of kicking along and the West just looks, who knows? You've got Golden State Warrior and then everyone else at this point. I don't think anybody's really like moving the needle. It's early in the season though, but it did tip off. So we're going to talk about investments, get into the portion where we discuss maybe things for your collection or how you might want to invest. And Jimmy, I think, already touched base on the fact that like it's a good time to buy if you're a collector. Probably not a good time if you're investing into wax, unless you see something long term, which is buying a product that maybe has some type of case hits that you can sit on. The thing that comes to mind for me is 21 Select blasters. That seems to be a product that down the road, I think those are going to be fairly expensive because that product is hitting so well. But we talked about Jeremy Pena earlier, and I wanted to bring up kind of the impact that moments that he's have on the hobby. And Pena's series, hitting the big home run, showing you that there's another young guy besides Julio in the American League. You start thinking about these things. And what it does is it starts to kind of tighten up that thought process where people look and then they don't pay attention to other areas they should. And like my biggest takeaway from this ALCS wasn't the fact that Jeremy Pena had such a great series and everything, was actually that Oswald Peraza showed you that he's a star. He's a guy that is going to play in that market. Gleyber Torres is not the answer at shortstop for them. The future is going to be Peraza. And because 4 and out, Jeremy Pena, everybody still wants to talk about Julio, all of this, guys like Peraza, you can actually make investments into the marketplace right now on them and really take advantage. This purple, it's a PSA 9 auto, under $500 you could go buy it. I honestly think you probably get it for under $4. His base autos, PSA 10s, you can still pick up for like $250, $300. And that's graded, so obviously you can pick up raw and grade yourself for a fraction of that. Wander Franco's another player that, like, because they didn't have the run in the playoffs like everybody wanted because he got hurt, great time to go buy these guys. So right now there's an opportunity to buy some of last year's and this year's rookie class of guys that you know are going to have a future and be able to take advantage of it. And guys are missing that. And then you have guys like Marco Luciano, who had incredible minor league seasons that don't get talked about because they didn't play in the playoffs. Their team didn't play in the playoffs. They're not mentioned as, and they have coming up the pipeline. Because that's always the gig, right? They always say, oh, well, the Yankees are great, but they also have coming up the road Trey Sweeney, and they mention these guys. These guys aren't getting mentioned. And as much as people in the hobby, especially from the investment standpoint, got into the what have you done for me lately side, because they kind of drove the hobby to that so much, there's opportunities to take advantage in the marketplace of price point and stuff. You can start today buying Peraza. You can start buying the George Valeras of the Guardians. You can start buying these players that you can get into some of their stuff fairly affordable now, knowing that, Peraza, I mean, let's say, is he probably a favorite for Rookie of the Year next year?
He's definitely going to be one of them.
He's going to be eligible as a rookie next year for Rookie of the Year. He's a guy that He's going to come up, and everyone's going to be surprised. But you're going to be able to actually sit there and say, you know what? The kid showed he could play in the playoffs. Reminds me of a guy named Derek Jeter, who showed he could play in the playoffs in the first year. Remember, Jeter got sent down to the minor leagues after his first playoff appearance and win. Mm-hmm. He was sent down to the minor leagues. Like, these kids need to develop. They need time to develop. And this is a grand opportunity to grab a guy like him. Jeremy Pena is obviously a nice buy. We think that's better for the offseason, though, than to buy now during the World Series. Just not a good time to do that.
Not good timing-wise.
But, you got these guys that you can buy in baseball, and you look for these opportunities. Normally in the NFL season, we're looking for opportunities, but every opportunity to buy is getting hurt. That's what's happening. Guys that we would be coming on here and telling you to buy are getting hurt. Or product is so far behind that we can't tell you to invest into the stuff that's out already because there's stuff coming out that's going to trump that. And, that advice is there. But in baseball, the play always is with prospects, especially from a value standpoint. And then when you can get in and grab some of these guys' low-numbered stuff, autos, graded, and get them at the better prices, it's a great opportunity to buy. Great spot to be able to do that.
As far as NFL, this will be probably your only chance to sell your Sam Ellinger cards.
Yeah.
So get them out. Get them out quickly. Put them up on eBay. Put them up on every platform you can to sell. Because if he has a good game, he's probably going to start the rest of the year unless he gets hurt or something happens. But you're going to have an opportunity if he comes out and plays well for the first couple weeks that you'll be able to make a quick investment on a guy that you've been having sit in your dollar box for the last year and a half.
What if he comes out and has like a Mike White type game where he comes out and throws for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns?
You're going to make 3x on your money, and you better be happy.
Get out quick.
Yeah, he's not the guy. He's not going to be there long term.
No.
The Colts will be drafting a quarterback next year because they're going to be drafting in that top 10 range. We have 6 quarterbacks that are coming out this year that all look like they can play in the NFL. So we'll see what happens with that. But the Colts will not be going long-term with Sam Ellinger. Maybe he'll be the starter to start the year next year.
Until the
rookie, whatever rookie they draft comes available, he is not the answer. He wasn't the answer at Texas. They never won games at Texas. Why do you think he can win in the NFL? I don't know. We'll see what happens.
What if Mac Jones loses tonight to the Bears? The Bears have a good defense.
Well, is he starting tonight?
Yeah.
So they just said he's starting tonight?
Yeah, I don't think that he's gonna lose, but I'm saying the Bears defense is decent. I think it's gonna be a low-scoring game. You never know what could happen. I mean, pick 6 happens, all of a sudden it changes the. If he loses,
Zappe looked good.
Zappe's looked good in every time he's played. Like the very first game he came in is a little shaky, and they asked him not to make any mistakes, but he's gotten better each game.
The thing is, you still have Bill Belichick there. Nobody in that fan base or nobody in that region that would be screaming for this Zappe kid to come back in is going to override what Belichick thinks.
I agree, and I know that Mac Jones is a first-round pick, but I don't think Belichick cares. I don't think he's going to be
if they lose 2 games, 100%
I'm going to give Mac Jones more leash because he's a first-round pick. I don't think Belichick's cares.
I don't think that's the case, but I think if he's winning, they're going to keep riding with Mac Jones. The moment they take a 2-game loss, we're going to see this kid right back in there.
So that's another guy to buy because we told you that before.
I like Zappe either way because generally what happens with backup quarterbacks in New England is that if they don't end up with the starting job there, they end up on a team that they have an opportunity to do something with. You think of Jimmy Garoppolo, we can go back and think about Matt Castle. I can go down the line, right?
Ryan Mallett.
Hoyer.
Brian Hoyer.
Hoyer got paid. Mallett got paid. You go down the line, they all got paid.
I think Zappe to me, although I don't want to give this comparison because it's a very far comparison, but he reminded me of Josh Allen's first year, right? When the first snaps we saw of Josh Allen, which was threw behind a little bit, has the arm talent though. He's a very smart guy, and he came from a place where he had to elevate everyone around him to be able to play at a decent level to make himself look good, and
I just wasn't a big believer in Mac Jones.
I'm not either.
I wasn't, and I know that they were going nuts because he played so well in his first year and they had a good defense and everything, but I wasn't a big believer. I snagged Zappe in the 5th round, the last round of all my rookie drafts, everywhere I could get him until people that I play with started seeing what I was doing in all of our rookie drafts, and they started taking him earlier. So they were taking him before it got to me, and they were stashing him on his bench. So I got him in a good 4 or 5 dynasty leagues, only because I don't trust Mac Jones. And don't get me wrong, I'm not like a Bailey Zappi, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. The second he gets the starting gig over Mac Jones, I'm an immediate sell in dynasty for whatever I can get.
I just see that this is an opportunity from a hobby standpoint that you kind of can't go wrong, and he's not overpriced at this point for the stuff. Yeah. He's going to have stuff coming out that you're going to be able to pick up and still get fairly well. And if Mac, if that rides into a month and a half from now, and you're able to buy some of those products that comes out and take advantage of some of it, then there you go.
There's a lot of Mac Jones believers, though.
Yeah. We'll see. We will see what happens with it. As far as anything else going out, we got the new releases coming out Wednesday, Friday generally. Go and bookmark those streams. We're in the middle of this massive sell-off of slabs and singles that we've been doing on Whatnot. That continues tonight with Johnny Rip Rip, so go bookmark those streams and come in with it. Of course, you guys ever have any questions, you want anything, you want to help you with something, we can do that as well. And then the last thing we mentioned, just because we should touch on it, yes, there was a break-in at the shop here on Thursday night, Friday morning. I think it was fairly limited in what it could be, and I think preparation at the shop. A couple things that the you guys here at the shop implemented really kind of rose to the occasion, and one of those was most of our high-end stuff is now either removed from property, locked up, whatever, at the end of a night. So that wasn't actually accessible. So when they got in, they kind of took some mid-range stuff, not necessarily stuff that... Now, it still hurts. Mm-hmm. It still hurts anytime you get stuff. The bad side of this is, and I think people need to understand this because I think this is something that has been talked about, is that everybody goes, well, you have insurance in place for that. Well, hold on. As a small business, you pick and choose what you have insurance for, because every time you have an insurance claim as a small business, you're paying for it on your rate on the backside. So a lot of times you may or may not claim an insurance claim, and I don't know what the plan here is, but I do know that my own experiences in previous businesses I had, this is the type of break-in that you kind of shake your head and you go, man, this one really hurts my liquidity today.
Because all it does to us is it costs money out of our pocket. Now we have the glass guy here installing doors, re-putting in new doors because they tried to break in both of the doors. They tried to break in the back door. So yes, it's money out of the pocket that we have to put up for it, and now we have to look at it. Is it worth even putting a claim and getting dropped, and then our rates go up for the next thing, or is anybody even gonna, that's our second break-in that we claim. So now is anybody ever gonna hold us again and give us insurance in the future? What are we supposed to do? We do lock up everything in the safe. We do vault everything at the end of the night, so they didn't get anything that was extremely valuable. They did cause a lot more damage than they.
It's just a pain in the ass of the day.
I mean, people don't realize it. That front door, I don't know what exactly you played, but I'm just going to guess that piece of glass was probably $1,500. Yeah. You don't realize it, just the front door glass. Right. Now, multiple cases and all this stuff. The hobbies rallied, though, which is really cool, and shout out to our friend C. Blez and some of the other influencers fresh out the pack. We saw them all sharing it and getting the word out. It spread very, very fast and a lot of positive support. A little bit of knucklehead support on the back end of
You're
some
always gonna have those
absolute clowns.
This looks like they've been broken into twice in 6 months. You think, for God, you have to be that stupid to think, I'm looking for an insurance claim? Being a brand new business, open within 2 years, our business is thriving. I don't have to explain that to anybody. Go on one of our Whatnot channels on any given time. You'll see we have no problem making money. We're making money. We're selling stuff. We're at every show. We're selling stuff. We're all over. We have no problem. I don't need to make an insurance claim and cause fraud to try to get money back for my business.
You laugh about some of these comments
because you clowns that come up with it. I'm speaking right to you. You're freaking clowns, and I hope to see you because I know who you are, and I will see you one day. And I will. Keyboard warriors is a great point. They love to say stuff, but they would never say it to my face. No.
No, and then the thing is that once they get called on it, it's always a backtrack. And I'm going to tell you,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way.
The backtrack. I'm going to tell you now, like there's no acceptance of an apology on a backtrack when you're making falsified claims on stuff you have no information on.
On a public forum, you're going to come out and say that I'm committing fraud because I have 3 goons breaking down my front door and breaking every single display case. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to deal with on a weekend. Are you
And
stupid?
you know what I think is funny is that what most people don't understand is like they look at it, they see the snippet, and then their thought is that they kind of know what happened or how it went. Like little do they know, less than 15 minutes prior to that, our team left the building. We were here until then. They had just left, which meant that this group was actually robbing the place and not just by opportunity stealing. They actually had game planned. They were watching and waiting for us to leave. They were wanting to make sure that the place was as it was.
Not to mention
right,
the $30,000 that we spent into security since our last break-in.
Correct.
When we were told that there's no way that they could possibly get into this and this, when you're given these assurances, you go with them. We're not experts in this field.
Yeah.
So when somebody tells you, oh, there's no way that they can get in the door, what are you going to think?
There's no
way they can get in the door. We don't have to worry about it. We spent $30,000 putting all the new security stuff in, new cameras, new tenting, new everything.
Right.
Locking up everything. Other backdoor door. We lock up everything. And somebody tells us, oh, we had Metro, the Henderson police come through, check our system out. How's everything look? What do you think we need to do? What else can we do to make us even more safe? They all told us, looks pretty good, everything looks pretty good.
Even when you think it's perfect, there's someone looking to beat the system. It's always been that way. It always will be that way. People aren't going to stop stealing. These things are not going to stop happening. What we can do is hope that by enough publicity behind these people to slow it down or to minimize it for other people, because these guys get caught. And if anybody wants to know, just for the record, the last break-in that the shop had, that guy, I believe, either just got sentenced or is about his way to sentencing for that. Again, you guys have to understand, it does come full circle. Those guys, they're not out living lavish lives and doing this stuff. They're spending time. They're going down. I put people away in my previous businesses. You've put people away. That's what happens.
They tried the very next night over at the Awesome Card Shop here in Las Vegas. They tried to break in there. They didn't get in. They beat the door to hell. Luckily they had it locked from the inside a different way, so they weren't able to get in. They will try to get in. I've notified all the shop owners here in Vegas. We will catch these guys.
Yeah.
They will get caught. They will get justice. It's only a matter of time before they get caught.
No, they will. And again, those of you who supported and got behind it and everything, you guys are incredible, and we appreciate you guys. And, as crazy as it is, like our social media that day, our social media was promoting for people to send stuff to Blue Breaks, because that's how our shop works. That's how the mentality is here. We pick it up, we go, business as usual, things happen. We were off and running, doing our shows and all those things that we would continue to do. But it comes with those people that have supported, that are there, that are the true people in the hobby, the family of the hobby that were there. You guys have been incredible, and we thank you guys. But didn't want to touch base on it. I thought it was important for us to mention it. Otherwise, we'll be back next Monday talking about World Series.
Halloween.
Crazy.
No one cares about
Oh yeah, we do have Halloween next Monday. Yeah,
No one cares
maybe
about
Jimmy will dress up.
I might. We'll see you.
Maybe
Come back next Monday. You'll see me dressed up.
Dress up as an Astro.
Oh, rough. Dude, takes
Okay,
shots
trash
right
can?
at the end.
I listened the whole game for a trash can and didn't hear one.
You can't hear buzzers either.
I heard a lot of cheering when Pena went deep, but I didn't hear any trash cans.
Guys, thanks for being here. Next time we see you, we will go monster hunting. See you guys.